Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and this is part 3 of the Flappy Bird tutorial. In this video, we're going to start talking about how to create a script to follow a camera, or a script so that the camera follows a character or an object in your game. In this case, we want the camera to follow our bird so that our bird doesn't fly off of the edge of the level. So, what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and create a new script, and we'll actually just attach it to the main camera right off the bat. I'm going to create a new C# script. I'm going to call it camera follow and create an add, and it's going to dump it right here, and it's going to dump it right here. Let's let it have a second to, there we go. And then I'm going to grab it and put it in my scripts folder just so everything stays organized. Alrighty. And then I'm going to double click my camera follow script to open it up in Visual Studio. Perfect. I'm going to put my brackets where they're supposed to go. Alright, let's think about what the logic behind this script might be. Okay. What I want to do is I want to essentially I want to figure out where my camera is, where my target is, and I want to make it so that the camera's position and the target position stay the same as it moves across the screen. So I'm not really going to need the start method. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And yeah, update's fine. So what we want to do is we want to create a new public variable. Now this is going to be what's called a public transform. So the transform variable just accesses the transform property of the object that we're going to point to. So public transform target. And what we're going to do is this is going to be the public variable where we put our bird game object into this transform target. Basically, this is how we're going to target the bird itself. All right. Now, inside the update, we want to basically set a new transform.position set equal to new vector 3. Okay, so we want the transform.position, so the position of the camera, to be set equal to a new vector 3. And that vector 3 is going to have the x, y, and z of, so the target.position.x, so the x value of the target, right? Now, if we set the same for if we set the y value of the target, then the camera is going to go up and down as the bird flies up and down, which we don't want. And we also don't want to set it to the same value for the z, because it shouldn't be going in and out in z space, but it's okay. We can actually just set it to transform.position position.y and transform.position.z. So that way we're basically just updating our transform.position property on the camera to match the x, the target.position x, and then keep its own y and z values. So that's pretty easy. Now there's one more thing we want to do. Now we kept this as an update, but the problem is update kind of there's a way to make it smoother, right? Update runs, again, every single frame. With this, what we could do is we can call late update. Basically, what late update will do is that after everything else in the scene has updated, then this will fire, right? So we don't want the camera movement to get in the way of the physics collisions that we're going to be looking for and the movement that we're going to be integrating into the rest of the game. So I'm actually going to change this to late update. And I'll change my comment to after every other update, just so that we can remember what late update means. And that's it for that script. We're just going to go ahead and attach that to Unity, and then we'll go back to Unity. And if we tested it out now, it wouldn't be working. So I want you guys to think, why would this not work already, right? Think about it. We wrote the script, we attached it to our camera. What else do we need to do? Some of you probably already have the answer. You're probably thinking that it's because, oh, hello, where'd my script go? Did I attach the script to the wrong thing? Oh no, it's right there. I just wasn't seeing it. Okay. Some of you may have already figured out the answer. We haven't attached a target to this, right? We don't know what the camera is supposed to follow, right? So all we have to do is take the bird from our hierarchy and actually just plop it right in there. So now the target of our camera follow is going to be the bird. So if we play the game now, we can see that the bird is now directly center. It's directly centered on the screen, and our bird is moving along, and we actually have a full movement. Everything works. Everything looks good. We can, boom, start the level over again, and perfect. Okay, beautiful. Now actually the bird movement feels a little sluggish. I'm going to go into this script and I'm going to change the speed to 4. I'm going to double it and see if that feels better. It just feels it feels like it's a little bit slow. There we go. That's a little bit more zippy. Okay. Perfect. And again, that's why we create these public variables, so that I don't have to go back into the script and change that variable. I can change it right here, and it makes it easy. All right. Very quickly, let's talk about obstacles. We should be able to get through probably the rest of this. Let's talk about obstacles. So if I go take a look at my sprites, I have my obstacle sprite. The obstacles in this game are going to be just, you know, kind of like logs or something. I didn't want to, you know, we don't want to use the green pipes from Mario like they did with the other Flappy Bird. So we're going to do something new. First of all, I want to make sure that it is set to 16 pixels per unit, because that is the pixels per unit value for the game that we're making. And then I want to change the filter to point. Okay, and this is not a multiple sprite, this is a single sprite. I'm going to click apply. And now I can bring an obstacle into the hierarchy. Actually, first, before I do that, what I want to do is I want to offset the camera just a little bit. I want to move the camera into, you know, let's say 5. Let's do 8. No, let's do 10 maybe? Yeah, I'm going to move the camera over 10 so that my bird isn't directly in the middle of the screen. It's actually, oh no, never mind. That's not what I should have done. The camera follow, I actually want to go back into the camera follow script. So with this target.position.x, I actually want to set that to -10. All right. And that way it automatically positions itself negative. Oh no, wrong way. It should be +10. +10. I got my math wrong. All right. But that way it'll automatically put the bird all the way on the left hand side of the screen, so we can see our objects as they're coming, and we don't feel like we're stuck in the middle of the game or in the middle of the screen. Come on. Load. See? All right, perfect. So now now he's where we want him to be. Good stuff. Okay. Back to the obstacle. So now I have this obstacle created, or I have its import settings set up. So I'm going to bring one in. Hello. Oh, I'm on my scene view. I'm on the game view. I'm going to bring one in and just drop it in. And I'm actually going to put it at, let's see, x3 and y -5. Okay. Actually, I'm going to put that over just a little bit. X5. Perfect. Okay. Now, with the obstacle, I want to make sure that I have a 2D box collider, of course. Okay. And I want to apply it to that weird physics layer again, because look, it's inside of the ground object. I definitely don't want them to collide. That's why we did the weird physics layer a couple videos ago. I also want to apply a rigid body 2D because I want these obstacles to be able to move up and down. All right, and I'm going to set a gravity scale to 0 for this guy. And I think that's about it for that obstacle. Now, because of the way we scripted this game, if I collide with the obstacle, it should automatically restart the, look at that. It automatically restarts, right? I didn't even have to apply any scripting to this obstacle yet because the script on the bird says anytime it collides with anything, it restarts. So that's great. All right. Now let's talk about movement, because we want these obstacles to move up and down. Matter of fact, we want these obstacles to be able to move up and down or not move, depending on what we feel like is necessary for the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new script. I'm going to call it obstacle. I'm actually going to attach it here to this obstacle object. So add component, new script, and I'm going to call it obstacle. There we go. Create and add. Alrighty, and give it a second. Okay, and I'll drag that up into the scripts folder so that it's organized. So obstacles there. Let's make sure the obstacle got added to my obstacle object properly. It did. All right. And I will double click to open the obstacle script. Put my brackets where they go. Okay. All right. First thing I want to do is, again, there's some movement involved. So I'm going to create a movement speed variable. And in this case, I actually want to indicate that 0 means don't move. Because again, some of these I'm going to want to make sure they don't move. So that's just a reminder for me later when I'm adding more obstacles into the game. I can set that movement speed to 0 if I don't want that thing to move. So that's going to be 0. And then in my start method, I want to set an initial movement direction. So I want the object to begin moving in a specific direction once the game starts. So here, all I have to do is get component, rigid body 2D, and you guys could probably write this script on your own at this point. It's the same thing as any of the other movement scripts we've written. Velocity equals vector 2 dot up times speed. So we're just going to start it moving in the up direction times speed. Now again, if your speed is set to 0, it's not going to move at all, right? Because anything times 0 is 0. Alrighty. Now what I want to do is I want to invoke repeating. Now an invoke repeating function is actually pretty cool. What it does is it invokes the same thing over and over and over and over again at a specific interval, right? So first we need to figure out what that interval is going to be. And in this script, we're actually going to call it switch time. I want to set the switch movement direction every X seconds. And I want this to be a public variable so I can change how quickly it switches, because I want that variation there. So public float switch time, and we're going to set that to 2. So then inside my start method, I want to write the code to switch every few seconds. And that code is going to be invoke repeating. and it's going to invoke a method called switch, which we're going to write in just a second. And it's going to have 0 lag time, and I'm going to set it to repeat every switch time, meaning every 2 seconds. Okay, now we need to create this switch method that we're calling here. We're invoking the switch method every 2 seconds. So we're going to create void switch. And all we need to do in this method is get component, rigid body, 2D, dot velocity. And we're going to do times equals -1. What that means is we are basically going to change the velocity to the velocity itself times -1. Basically reverse the velocity completely by timesing it by itself by -1. So it's kind of hard to this is essentially the same as saying get component rigid body 2D dot velocity equals get component rigid body 2D dot velocity times -1. That's what that means. That's just a cleaner way of writing it. If you put the operator before the equals sign, then it's like you're doing it to itself. All right, let's see. I think that's it for the switch script. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that to Unity. And we are actually almost done. We're very close to done. Let's give that a second, let it build. Perfect, everything looks good. And over here in the obstacle that I have, oh, come on. Over here in the obstacle I can go down to the switch script and I can change the speed. I'm going to set it to, oh, that's really fast. I'm going to set it to 2 just to see what happens. Make sure my script's actually working. And you can see it's going down. Oh, let's add a few more just to make it interesting. So I'm going to duplicate, and I will move this one over 10. And I'll actually bring it up a little bit. Oh, come back. I'll bring it up a little bit just so it's kind of in the way. All right. And oh, it's moving up, so I don't want it to move up that bad. Let's do -3. Okay. So we can see those are happening, and then the switch script works and it actually comes back up like it's supposed to. Now, so we have a couple obstacles here. There's actually another, we want obstacles to come up on top, right? So there's one little trick that we need to do to make it look good. So I just duplicated that obstacle. And then all I have to do is set the scale property, the scale Y property, to -1. And then I can move it up wherever I want. So let me grab this and I can just kind of put it where I want. The reason why is because this sprite itself is, it's a little weird on the bottom. So if we flip it, it'll actually look nice. So let's play the game. So it's doing its thing. Now, of course, we would want to pay attention to, you know, where those are going. You might even want to just set that to not move at all, which again, all we have to do is go in here and set that speed to 0. And then when we play, that obstacle won't move while these move. So that's a way we can control our game and how everything works. Now, we have a fully playable Flappy Bird game. So at this point, I'm going to actually call this tutorial good. And I'm going to let you kind of fill in this level with obstacles, make it a little bit interesting. And then, you know, if you get done early and you're looking for something else to do, an interesting way to expand this game, set a field in here as a trigger at the very end that whenever they reach that field, it actually brings them to a new level that's more difficult, right? Figure that out, because that'll be a skill that you're going to want later on as well. But this is Flappy Bird. The game's ready. All you have to do is populate it with obstacles, make it interesting, make it fun to play. But thank you for paying attention. I hope you had fun with this tutorial series. Hopefully you make some really cool looking, really fun to play Flappy Bird games. All right, I will see you next time. Thank you very much.